Rick Rubin.
Frederick Jay. Rick Rubin is an American record producer and former co-president of Columbia Records. Along with Russell Simmons, Rubin is the founder of Def Jam Records and also established American Recordings. With the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Public Enemy and Run D.M.C., Rubin helped popularize hip-hop music. Rubin has worked with Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, Run D.M.C., Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Black Sabbath, Slipknot, Slayer, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jay-Z, Danzig, Dixie Chicks, Metallica, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Weezer, Linkin Park, The Cult, Neil Diamond, Mick Jagger, System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine, Melanie C., Audioslave, Sheryl Crow, ZZ Top, Adele, Lana Del Rey, Lady Gaga, Kanye West, and Eminem. In the 1990s and 2000s, he produced the American Recordings albums with Johnny Cash. In 2007, MTV called him the most important producer of the last 20 years. Rubin appeared on Time's 100 Most Influential People in the World list.
Life and career.
Rubin was born in Long Beach, New York and grew up in Lido Beach, New York, in a Jewish family. His father was a shoe wholesaler and his mother a housewife. While a student at Long Beach High School, he befriended the school's audiovisual department director Steve Freeman, who gave him a few lessons in guitar playing and songwriting and helped him create a punk band called the Bricks. Their biggest claim to fame was being thrown off the stage at CBGB after 2 songs for brawling with the heckling audience. These hecklers were friends of the band, instructed to instigate a confrontation so as to get the show shut down and create a buzz. Although he had no authority in New York City, Rubin's father traveled from Nassau County, New York to Manhattan wearing his Lido Beach Auxiliary Police uniform as he attempted to shut down the show. On the February 28, 2014, producer Rick Rubin received David Lynch Foundation's Lifetime of Harmony Award in L.A. for a lifetime of meditation and music.
Def Jam years.
At school, Rubin was unpopular among the other musicians due to his complete lack of musical ability beyond a few rudimentary guitar chords. During his senior year, Rubin founded Def Jam Records using the school's 4-track recorder. He moved on to form Hose, influenced by San Francisco's Flipper. In 1982, Hose became Def Jam released No. 1, a 45 RPM 7 inches vinyl single in a brown paper bag, and no label. The band played in and around the NYC punk scene, toured the Midwest and California, and played with seminal hardcore bands like the Meat Puppets, Husker Du, the Circle Jerks, Butthole Surfers and Minor Threat, becoming friends with frontman and Dischord Records owner Ian MacKaye. The band broke up in 1986 as Rubin's passion moved towards the NYC hip-hop scene. Having befriended Zulu Nation's DJ Jazzy J, Rubin began to learn about hip-hop production. By 1983, the 2 men produced It's Yours for rapper T La Rock, and released it on their independent label, Def Jam Records. Producer Arthur Baker helped to distribute the record worldwide on Baker's Streetwise Records in 1984. Jazzy J introduced Rubin to concert promoter artist-manager Russell Simmons in a club, and Rubin explained he needed help getting Def Jam off the ground. Simmons and Rubin edged out Jazzy J, and the official Def Jam record label was founded while Rubin was attending New York University in 1984. Their first record released was LL Cool J's I Need a Beat. Rubin went on to find more hip-hop acts outside the Bronx, Brooklyn and Harlem, including rappers from Queens, Staten Island and Long Island, which eventually led to Def Jam's signing of Public Enemy. Rubin was instrumental in pointing the members of the Beastie Boys away from their punk roots and into rap, resulting in the exit of Kate Schellenbach from the group. Rock Hard/Parties Gettin' Rough/Beastie Groove EP by the Beastie Boys came out on the success of Rubin's production work with breakthrough act Run D.M.C. His productions were characterized by occasionally fusing rap with heavy rock. Rubin tapped Adam Dubin and Rick Manello to co-direct the music videos for the Beastie Boys, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party and No Sleep Till Brooklyn, effectively launching the band's mainstream hip-hop careers. It was the idea of Rick Rubin's friend Sue Cummings, an editor at Spin magazine, to have Run DMC and Aerosmith collaborate on a cover of Aerosmith's Walk This Way. This 1986 production is often credited with both introducing rap hard rock to mainstream ears and revitalizing Aerosmith. In 1986, he worked with Aerosmith again on demos for their forthcoming album, but their collaboration ended early and resulted in only rough studio jams. In the same year, Rubin began his long musical partnership with Slayer, producing Rain and Blood, considered a classic of the heavy metal genre. This was his first work with a metal band. In 1987 the Cult released their pivotal third album Electric. Produced by Rubin, the album remains one of the Cult's trademark and classic works. Rubin would later work with the Cult again for the single The Witch. Rubin is credited as music supervisor in the movie Less Than Zero and is the producer of his soundtrack. Rubin portrayed a character based upon himself in the 1985 hip-hop motion picture Crush Groove, which was inspired by the early days of Russell Simmons' career as a music producer. He then directed and co-wrote, with Rick Manello, a second Run DMC film, Tougher Than Leather in 1988. In 1988, Rubin and Simmons went their different ways after Rubin had a falling out with the then Def Jam president Lew Cohen. It was then that Rubin left for Los Angeles, California to start Def American Records, while Simmons remained at Def Jam in NY. In Los Angeles, Rubin signed a number of rock and heavy metal acts, including Danzig, Masters of Reality, The Four Horsemen, and Wolfsbane, as well as alternative rock group The Jesus and Mary Chain and stand-up comedian Andrew Dice Clay. Rubin also produced, though he retained a close association with rap, signing the Geto Boys and continuing to work with Public Enemy, LL Cool J and Run DMC, among others.
American recordings years.
Rubin originally had given his label the name Def Jam. The word def in urban culture is slang for a song or musical composition that is well liked for its attractive rhythm and dance appeal. 9 years later, Rubin found that the word def had been accepted into the standardized dictionary. In 1993, Rubin held an actual funeral, complete with a casket and a grave, for the word def. Def American became American Recordings. In regard to this he stated, "When advertisers and the fashion world co-opted the image of hippies, a group of the original hippies in San Francisco literally buried the image of the hippie. When def went from street lingo to mainstream, it defeated its purpose." The first major project on the renamed label was Johnny Cash's American Recordings, 1994, a record including 6 cover songs and new material written by others for Cash at Rubin's request. The album was a critical and commercial success, and helped revive Cash's career following a fallow period. The formula was repeated for 5 more Cash albums: Unchained, Solitary Man, The Man Comes Around, the last album released before Cash's death, 100 Highways, and Ain't No Grave. The Man Comes Around earned a 2003 Grammy for Best Male Country Vocal Performance, Give My Love to Rose, and a nomination for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals, Bridge Over Troubled Water with Fiona Apple. Rubin introduced Cash to 9 Inch Nails' Hurt, and the resulting cover version of it on The Man Comes Around would become a defining song of Cash's later years. Rick Rubin also produced the Jay-Z track 99 Problems, and was featured in the song's music video. Rubin produced a number of records with other older artists, which were released on labels other than American. These included Mick Jagger's 1993 Wandering Spirit album, Lords of Acid's 1994 Voodoo You album, Tom Petty's 1994 Wildflowers, AC/DC's 1995 Ballbreaker, Donovan's 1996 Sutras, and Metallica's 2008 Death Magnetic. According to bassist Robert Trujillo, Rubin will be the producer for the next Metallica album. In 2005, Rick Rubin executive produced Shakira's 2-album project Fijacian Oral Volume 1 and Oral Fixation Volume 2. He was to appear on the Talib Kweli's album Eardrum, Clips's album Till the Casket Drops and Lil Jon's album Crunk Rock. Rubin recently finished producing Black Sabbath's 2013 album 13.
Columbia years.
In May 2007, Rubin was named co-head of Columbia Records. Rubin co-produced Linkin Park's 2007 album, Minutes to Midnight, with Mike Shinoda. Rubin and Shinoda have since co-produced the band's 2010 album, A Thousand Suns, and their June 2012 release, Living Things. In 2007, Rubin won the Grammy Award for Producer of the Year, non-classical for his work with the Dixie Chicks, Michael Crean's, Red Hot Chili Peppers, U2, Green Day, and Johnny Cash, released in 2006. Rubin won the award again in 2009, for production work for Metallica, Neil Diamond, Ars, Jacob Dylan and Weezer in 2008. In 2012 Rubin won the Grammy for Album of the Year for his role as a producer on Adele's album 21.
Post-Columbia.
Rubin left Columbia in 2012, and revived the American Recordings imprint through a deal with Republic Records. The first albums released under this new deal are ZZ Top's La Futura and the Avett Brothers' The Carpenter. Rubin also attempted to record a cover album with Crosby, Stills and Nash in 2012, but the sessions were short-lived and ultimately unsuccessful.
Production style.
Rubin's biggest trademark as a producer has been a stripped-down sound, which involves eliminating production elements such as string sections, backup vocals, and reverb, and instead having naked vocals and bare instrumentation. However, by the 2000s, Rubin's style had been known to include such elements, as noted in The Washington Post, as the track reaches a crescendo and Diamond's portentous baritone soars over a swelling string arrangement, Rubin leans back, as though floored by the emotional power of the song. Producer Dr. Dre once stated that Rick was, hands down, the dopest producer ever that anyone would ever want to be, ever. On the subject of his production methods, Dan Chalmers, a music journalist who worked as vice president of A&R and marketing at Rubin's American Recordings label in the 1990s, said, "He's fantastic with sound and arrangements, and he's tremendous with artists. They love him. He shows them how to make it better, and he gets more honest and exciting performances out of people than anyone." Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks has praised his production methods, saying, "He has the ability and the patience to let music be discovered, not manufactured. Come to think of it, maybe he is a guru." Ontario, 2010. At the Music Producers Guild, MPG, Awards, Muse aimed a potshot at Rick Rubin as the band accepted the award for UK Single of the Year. Arriving on stage, Matt Bellamy thanked a number of people for teaching them how to produce, finishing off with, "And we'd like to thank Rick Rubin for teaching us how not to produce." The audience roared, as Bellamy smiled, concluding, "I thought you'd like that one." One trademark of Rubin's production is that he encourages artists to genre bend. Rap stars Run D.M.C. covered hard rock band Aerosmith's Walk This Way, country music star Johnny Cash covered Hurt by industrial band 9 Inch Nails and Personal Jesus by synth-pop band Depeche Mode, and southern rock band ZZ Top covered the 25 Lighters by DJ DMD. In taking from various styles and different genres, Rubin allowed himself a greater appeal, both in artistic intake and public outtake. His styles, derived from rock, funk, and rap, later emphasized the exceeding and growing cultural Americana of sound and style. Furthermore, in mixing and emphasizing the differences of genre in music and culture, he did much to display the racial and cultural divides and similarities of pop content and presentation.
Criticisms by artists and listeners.
Not all artists who have worked with Rubin have enjoyed his production style. Although he and his bandmates had some positive things to say about Rubin, Slipknot's lead singer Corey Taylor said that he only met Rubin 4 times during the entire recording process of Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, and that Rubin barely ever even showed up to the studio. "We were being charged horrendous amounts of money. And for me, if you're going to produce something, you're fucking there. I don't care who you are." He also added, "The Rick Rubin of today is a thin, thin shadow of the Rick Rubin that he was. He is overrated, he is overpaid, and I will never work with him again as long as I fucking live. American Head Charges frontman Martin Koch made similar complaints, saying that Rubin gave no direction or constructive criticism, and took excessive amounts of time to listen to the recordings sent to him.
Loudness war.
Since at least 1999, Rubin has been criticized by listeners for contributing to a phenomenon in music known as the loudness war, in which the dynamic range of recorded music is compressed and sometimes clipped in order to increase the general loudness. Albums produced by Rubin that have been criticized for such treatment include Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, 1999. Tim Anderson of The Guardian criticized its excessive compression and distortion, and Stylus magazine said it suffered from so much digital clipping that even non-audiophile consumers complained about it. Death Magnetic by Metallica, 2008. Some fans have preferred the Guitar Hero version of Death Magnetic, even though it was released for gameplay and not listening, because it was not subject to the same compression. 13 by Black Sabbath, 2013. Ben Ratliff of the New York Times said the new Black Sabbath album was produced by Rick Rubin, who some believe to be a prime offender in the recent history of highly compressed and loudly mastered music, a major cause of ear fatigue. 13 is mastered loudly too. Your ears aren't given room to breathe. John Hajusk of Consequence of Sound wrote, Rubin deserves disparagement for the way he mixed the audio levels, which are crushed by distortion and compression. Otherwise well-recorded songs are blemished, an affliction all too pervasive in the modern music industry.
Filmography.